All right, listeners, ready for this? Japan is changing up how they do things big time, like how they certify Japanese language schools.
Oh, wow.
And I do teachers.
Yeah, it's
Huge deal for anyone thinking about, hopping over to Japan to learn the language.
absolutely huge.
Or for those of you already teaching it, right?
Yeah.
We love a good deep dive here. So today we're going to break down a new Q&A straight from the Japanese Ministry of Education.
Fresh off the press, this thing.
Oh, yeah, piping hot.
Piping hot.
By the end of this, you'll be totally in the know
Completely.
about all the major shakeups coming down the pipeline.
This isn't just, a little update here and there. We're talking a complete system revamp.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's all because of some pretty big changes happening in Japan itself.
Okay, so spill it. Why is Japan hitting the reset button on Japanese language education?
Well, for starters, Japan's seeing more and more foreign residents,
Right.
which means more and more people want to learn Japanese. But here's the thing. The old system just wasn't built for this kind of demand.
Oh, so it's getting kind of crowded, huh?
Totally. And then there were all these questions about quality control.
I see.
Were there enough qualified teachers? It was starting to feel a bit like the Wild West out there.
Okay, so is this new law like the sheriff writing in to lay down the law?
You got it.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest changes is that not all Japanese language schools will be treated the same anymore.
Oh, interesting.
They're putting in this whole new certification process to create a gold standard.
So no more of those kind of sketchy schools slipping through the cracks.
Exactly. And to make things even better, this certification is going to be public.
Public.
Totally. It's like a Michelin star system for language schools.
Ooh, I like that.
I'll be able to see exactly which schools make the cut, all on the Ministry of Education's website and in multiple languages.
That's smart. That's transparency.
Huge for learners and employers. No more guessing games.
Right. Just check the list and bam. If the school's legit.
Exactly.
Yep.
But wait, there's more. They didn't just stop at slapping on a label. This new law goes deep, breaking down learning into 3 categories.
Categories. Okay. I love a good framework. Lay out on me.
All right, so you got study abroad, pretty straightforward. That's for folks coming to Japan specifically to learn the language.
Makes sense.
Then there's work, which is all about equipping people with the Japanese skills they need for, the professional world.
So like business, Japanese, all that.
Exactly.
But
Business jargon, specialized vocabulary, you name it.
Yeah.
And finally, we've got daily life.
Rep.
This one's about giving people the tools to navigate everyday situations
Gotcha.
and really integrate into Japanese society.
So it's like if I'm dreaming of studying like Japanese literature at a university in Kyoto, I'd want a school with that study abroad certification.
You got it.
But if I'm trying to snag a job at, a tech company in Tokyo after I graduate, then a work program would be my go-to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's the cool part. Schools can actually specialize in 1, 2, or even all 3 of these categories.
Oh, wow. So a school could be like amazing for study abroad, but not offer any work program.
And exactly, or vice versa.
Okay. That's making a lot more sense now. But what about the teachers themselves? Any big changes there?
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, hit me.
Under this new law, all certified schools have to have teachers who were officially registered.
Officially registered.
Big shift in how Japan sees Japanese language teaching.
So is it like being a doctor or a lawyer now? You can't just call yourself a Japanese teacher anymore.
That's the idea. To become a registered teacher, you'll have to pass a national exam and complete a practical training program.
Whoa, talk about raising the bar. That's going to have a huge impact on the quality of teaching out there.
Totally. But don't worry about teachers who are already out there.
Yeah.
They've thought of that.
Okay, good.
There are transition periods and exemptions built in for existing teachers.
They're not just kicking everyone out.
No. They've created paths for experienced teachers to get registered under the new system.
That's good to hear.
But there's more to it than just school and teacher certifications. Remember I said they were getting specific? Well, they didn't stop with the people.
Really?
They took a deep dive into the whole learning experience, from the classroom to the wider world.
Okay, you've got me hooked. Tell me more.
Oh, yeah. They're really getting into like the nitty-gritty of what makes a Japanese language program top-notch.
Ooh, exciting.
They've laid out these guidelines for things like facilities, equipment, even financial stability.
Ah, so no more of those like sketchy operations that might suddenly disappear.
Exactly. It's all about giving students peace of mind,
Right, knowing they're investing in a solid program.
Exactly. But they didn't just stop there. They also went deep on the curriculum itself.
Ah, the heart of it all. So are they saying like you have to use this textbook or teach this way?
Not exactly. Schools still have some flexibility in designing their courses, but there's a catch.
What's the catch?
They got to stick to the Ministry of Education's guidelines for Japanese language curriculum development. It's like their recipe book for effective language programs.
So like a framework, but schools can still get creative within it.
Exactly. And these guidelines aren't just about, ticking off grammar points and vocabulary lists.
Right.
They're about outcomes.
Yeah.
It's all about asking, what will students be able to do with the language?
I love that. So much more motivating when you can see how you'll actually use it,
Totally. Whether it's ordering ramen, navigating the train system, or having a deep conversation about your favorite anime.
Exactly. And that brings us to another interesting point. They actually set a minimum number of instructional hours for study abroad programs.
Oh, yeah.
A minimum. How many hours are we talking?
At least 880 instructional hours per year.
Whoa. That's intense.
That's a serious commitment to language learning.
It's like they're saying, hey, if you're coming to Japan to study, we're going to make sure you're getting your money's worth.
Exactly. And it also means there's a certain level of consistency and quality across different study abroad programs.
Right. Makes sense. But here's a curveball. Online teaching is allowed for work and daily life programs, but not for study abroad.
Nope. If you're picturing yourself sipping matcha in a traditional tatami room while learning calligraphy, you got to be there in person.
Sign me up.
But for those focusing on, professional or daily life skills, there's more flexibility with online learning.
I see. So different approaches for different goals.
Exactly. And it's reassuring to know that the ministry is thinking about these differences,
Right, setting those boundaries.
Absolutely. But they didn't stop there. They also talked about student support systems.
Oh, this is important. What kind of support are we talking about here?
It goes way beyond just having a friendly face at the front desk.
Okay.
They've got requirements for helping students who are struggling managing attendance, even helping students transfer to other schools if they need to.
Wow.
They even mention potential native language support.
That's huge.
It shows they're really committed to creating a welcoming and supportive environment for everyone.
I love that. It's not just throwing them in the deep end.
Exactly. They're looking at the whole student journey,
Mm-hmm. From day one to integrating into Japanese society.
You got it. And they're not stopping at the classroom door either.
Really? What do you mean?
They're emphasizing connecting schools to the wider community. It's not just about learning grammar in a vacuum.
Right. It's about experiencing the language and culture in real life.
Exactly. And for schools with work and daily life programs, they have to show they're partnering with local businesses, organizations, and communities.
So like a work program might partner with companies to offer internships.
Exactly. Or they might create real-world projects or simulations to give students that hands-on experience.
It's like they're saying, don't just tell us you can speak Japanese, show us.
Exactly. And for daily life programs, those partnerships might be with community organizations, cultural events, volunteer opportunities.
So students could practice their Japanese while volunteering at a festival or something.
Exactly. Talk about immersive learning.
Right. It's not just about language. It's about cultural exchange and integration.
It's a win-win. Students get to practice their skills, and the community benefits too.
This is great. But what about the teachers themselves? We talked about certification, but how will all this impact their lives and careers?
That's a great question. And one we'll be diving into in our next segment.
Ooh, can't wait. Stay tuned, everyone. Okay, so we've talked about a lot in this deep dive, like the new certification for schools, stricter requirements for teachers, and those 3 pillars of learning: study abroad, work, and daily life.
Yeah, we even touched on how they're trying to bring those real-world experiences into the mix.
Right, exactly. But now I'm thinking about the bigger picture. What does all this mean for the teaching profession itself? Like, what's the long game here?
Well, it seems like this new law is really about raising the profile of Japanese language teaching, making it a real profession.
So less like a side hustle and more like, hey, I'm a certified professional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with that, you get better working conditions, maybe higher salaries, more job security.
That's huge, especially in Japan where things can get pretty expensive.
It makes the whole profession more sustainable, more attractive, which could bring in even more talented people.
Right, because who doesn't want a stable career doing something they love?
And it's not just about attracting new teachers. This new law helps those already teaching to level up their skills too.
Yeah, with the new registration system and all the training, there's a clear path for growth.
Exactly. Like they're saying, We're investing in you teachers
Mm-hmm.
because you're the key to making this all work.
And that investment pays off for the learners too, right?
Absolutely. The better the teachers, the better the learning experience for everyone.
It's like this amazing cycle. Everyone wins, the schools, the teachers, and of course the students.
And if we zoom out even further, it's Japan sending a message to the world. We're serious about Japanese language education.
It's not just about language, it's about cultural diplomacy too.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Building those bridges between Japan and the rest of the world.
I'm curious, what do you think all these changes mean for the future of Japanese language education? Not just for learners, but for everyone involved.
That's a great question. I'm personally excited to see how technology plays into all of this. Online teaching is allowed for certain programs.
Right. So much potential there for sure.
And it seems like the ministry is willing to adapt as things change.
That's important. We don't want a system that gets stuck in the past.
Definitely. And I think it's good to remember that even with all these changes, the heart of language learning stays the same.
What do you mean?
It's still about passion, dedication, that connection you feel when you're exploring the world through a new language.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to check out the Ministry of Education's website for all the details.
Yeah, and while you're at it, share your thoughts. What do you think the future holds for Japanese language education? We'd love to hear your predictions.
This deep dive has just been a glimpse into this new chapter.
Yeah, there's so much more to explore.
So keep learning, everyone, and we'll catch you in the next deep dive.